Boom shakalaka. What is going on, everybody? Randall here from Crypto Love, and I am joined today by Jeff Sau, the founder of PCHAIN. What's going on, Jeff?
Thank you. Hi, Crypto Love.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We're going to be
Yes.
talking a lot about PCHAIN. So for those
Yes.
people who have not heard of PCHAIN before, can you tell us what is PCHAIN?
Yeah, PCHAIN is the first multi-chain, we call it native multi-chain system in the world to support EVM. Because in fact, multi-chain is not the event of PCHAIN, but PCHAIN is the number one or the first blockchain system with PCHAIN. We call the native multi-chain to support EVM in the world. So this is quite important. Why we announced that it's native, that is means the interoperability between the main chain and the child chain. So structural level, it's multi-chain, but in the external level, it's just like a one chain. So you can imagine that means much better parameter computation, much larger scalable, and makes this kind of structural level changement to make the whole system we call applicable in large-scale blockchain industrial applications. So that's the general idea of PCHAIN. But for PCHAIN specifically, we designed many cool features and innovations. We applied 3 patents or even more patents in the row. And we invent a new algorithm named the PDBFT to better balance the efficiency and the decentralization, and we can achieve very high TPS. And also we have the Panda program, which means dynamic supernode program. Everybody knows supernode because of EOS, but the EOS problem is the 21 supernode, so it's more like a centralized way, and the vote or the position of this supernode is relative static. So it's very easy to incorporate the corruption and all this kind of trend of centralization. However, in Panda, in PCHAIN dynamic supernode plan, we can support much more supernode, and this kind of supernode are dynamic. So it's a much more equivalent chance for each people, and you don't need to be very rich to play this game. So it's allowed everybody to join this game, and that means a better decentralization can achieve.
Wonderful.
And yeah, that's the key features we will show you in the testnet. In addition, PCHAIN is not just that. We also explore the smart data. Smart data is a new standard PCHAIN want to put forward, and we also already collaborate with IEEE data format to do this kind of standard and try to make it more applicable to design a new Oracle mechanism for existing smart contract. And also we will support cross-chain functionality to allow the non-native token to call the smart contract capability provided by PCHAIN. So that's the main features of PCHAIN. But anyway, we will implement that step by our roadmap.
Great. So we got a lot of stuff to cover in this interview, definitely.
Yes.
Before we get into all of that, I was watching the video that you have on your website where you show the working prototype that you have. And in that video, you mentioned a whole bunch of firsts that your company's accomplished. I was wondering if you can talk about those, like the first asset earning transfer over the blockchain in the world, the first financial blockchain transaction in China, the first international patent from China, and the first financial blockchain prototype in China. So can you tell us about that and when that happened?
Okay, so in fact that's my historical event or something like that, because before I start up my first company, I was the tech leader of blockchain in IBM Great China. So at early 2015, we got the notice from our headquarters that is blockchain is a very important direction to follow. And as the tech leader, and I also the co-chair of patent review board inside of IBM Research. So I keep that mission and work with some key research scientists, and we submit the first blockchain patent. So that's definitely the first patent that is filed in 2015, October of 2015. And I'm the first author of this patent. And yes, after that, I also initiated the discussion inside of IBM. We invite the top researchers from a global research lab, and we have the closed door discussion in Shanghai for 2 days, and come out the conclusion and also the strategy of IBM blockchain. That's why the Hyperledger become more and more important, become the global strategy of IBM after that. And then I left IBM to start my first company in 2016. At that stage, not too much people know blockchain. And whenever we have conference, I will ask, how many of you know blockchain? Please raise your hand. Not too much people, 1 or 2. They didn't know that. They will also ask how to spell this word because it's quite complex, especially in Chinese. And after that, yes, I and my team have done a lot of #1 things in China in blockchain area. For example, as we said, the first prototype, which it's quite interesting that after my startup, we got many chance to visit different officers of government, because they also very they know that that's the trend, and we get a lot of support of them. One of the famous officers is the leader of the officers of Guiyang province. And then, you know, in Guiyang province, it's a very interesting place in China. Originally, it's the center of big data. However, after the leader heard my report, the comments or suggestion is, okay, Guiyang province will initiate the blockchain as well as the big data. So that's why, So Guiyang, in fact, do a lot of #1 things, and after that, we continues to many design and release the first prototype in Guiyang in May of 2016. So definitely, this is the first financial prototype in China. And after that, we accomplished the first financial transaction in China in September 2016. So, and we also can find that because this transaction is based on the bill of bank, and bill can be used as an asset earning transfer. And we also search or Google the whole in the world. It never happened before, this kind of transaction. So that's why we call it's also the first asset-based earning transfer in the world. So it's a long story.
Awesome. Well, that's a lot of firsts, and that's really impressive to be involved in all those firsts. So
thank you.
Yeah. So let's get back to PCHAIN. Now, there are 4 kind of important pieces of PCHAIN that you've mentioned: Multichain, the Sharding pipeline, smart data, and the non-native tokens supported by smart contracts. So let's kind of break that down piece by piece and go through it. So the first is Multichain. Why Multichain?
Yeah, as I explained before, Multichain is is totally a different methodology, because no matter it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's just like single chain. So everybody knows that they got a scalability problem. So it's very natural from computer science point of view. That is why not multi-chain. Multi-chain is definitely can achieve parallel, can achieve a lot of interesting structure level change. Because if you look inside of one block, you can imagine that a lot of transactions are packed inside of block. And for different transactions, maybe it belongs to different smart contracts, right? So naturally, it's not that beautiful. But if you have a multi-chain, in just one child chain, you can just process one smart contract. So in data level, you can see that all this kind of data is well organized and well packed inside of one block. No matter the massive, a lot of different transactions, it's not that beautiful. So this is the in structure level. But on the other hand, definitely, if we can have a different, many child chain, it's like parallel computing. So you can do this, process the transaction of smart contract in this child chain. Hello?
Yeah, keep going. I can hear you.
Okay. In this child chain, and you can process another smart contract in another child chain. So no longer the jam, because whenever there are very hot smart contract or DApp application in Ethereum, it always stuck the whole network. So in multi-chain system, every smart contract can be separated, but also they can be in one child chain. So it's totally different. But structure level and the design level, system level, we can do that. We can make it more naturally scalable. So this is the first thing. And we believe it's quite important to support EVM, because the EVM is the largest ecosystem in the world for the smart contract. So that's why many another blockchain system, they will design their own language, but from our point of view, why we need to redesign the wheel? Because it's already there, and many existing in the app, they can naturally very easily to integrate and run in PCHAIN without any changement. We already proved that, because in fact we contract over 20 DF now, and several of them already try to migrate their system to PCHAIN, and we found it's very natural. Just a half day they can do that, very easy. So this is another why we will support EVM. And regarding the second feature, the sharding, in fact, sharding is very important, and also a multi-chain you can regard as a kind of sharding capability or something. But if we doing more work on sharding, definitely we can do that. So it's the second piece or the feature of PCHAIN, and based on that we designed the PBBFT algorithm. B here means dynamic. Everybody know PBFT. PBFT have many good features. It's quite efficiency, but the key problem is the number of nodes to join the consensus should be much limited, because the communication cost is much higher. It's n squared, is the n means the number of nodes. So you can imagine the more node counts, the more communication cost is needed. So it's hardly to use the PBFT, traditional PBFT algorithm in the public chain. So that's the innovation of PBFT we invent here. We successfully reduced the communication cost from n squared to n. So it's a huge improvement that the communication cost greatly reduced, and more nodes can be used, adopt in the same way to achieve the consensus. So we are very proud of it. We already verified that across the continent. We built the node in Silicon Valley, in US, in Germany, in Europe, in Singapore, in Asia, and we demonstrate it can really work globally to achieve the consensus by our PBBFT algorithm. And this is the second feature. The third feature is smart data. Smart data, in fact, is another interesting direction, and maybe it can be a new project later on. But anyway, the very beginning, the problem why we want smart data, because Ethereum is a great improvement or great innovation beyond Bitcoin. Before Ethereum, Bitcoin can only support the token transfer or coin transfer, right? Just the coin, just the token. But the innovation, the biggest innovation of Ethereum is the smart contract. You can write smart contract, you can write the logic. So that's opened a door for the industrial application of blockchain. So it's become more and more successful. But the problem of Ethereum is different from Bitcoin. Bitcoin, every data is generated inside of Bitcoin. So it's called closed loop. It do not need to refer to external data, right? But if we come into the smart contract, you can imagine that very often we need to reference external data because smart contract itself cannot generate data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite easy to be understood. So that's why Ethereum have a mechanism named Oracle. Oracle is like a way to get data externally, but the problem of Oracle is too naive, too simple. That is, if you want to use Oracle, you need to write another smart contract to push the data into the smart contract, and another smart contract call the data from the data provider. So you can easily imagine that this definitely will be some problem because you don't know how frequent to update the data. If it's too fast, it will cost a lot of Ethereum, Ether. But if it's too slow, definitely cannot achieve the requirement of applications. So the smart data pool, do you get this business? Why not have a smart data inside of a smart contract, right? Mm-hmm. So through that way, we can pull the data from the external data source whenever you really want to execute the smart contract. And whenever you want the data, you pull the data from externally and write it into blockchain. So you need a new mechanism, you need to have a new standard. So that's why we initiate that we want to collaborate with IEEE data format to design this kind of standard to make it more a new Oracle mechanism. And also, yeah, so this is a certain feature of PCHAIN, and also because we believe ourselves as a better smart contract platform. So traditionally, Ethereum only support Ether to call the smart contract capability provided by the platform. But if we regard us as a better smart contract platform, why not to have a non-native token to call the smart contract capability provided by PCHAIN? So that's the key idea. So that's why we want to support non-native token to call the smart contract capability provided by PCHAIN. So yeah, so that's all the 4 features. So somebody comments that you are not just doing one project, you're doing 4 projects. But you can see that by our logic, it's quite well integrated. All our motivation is very well integrated. We need all these kind of features to as a better smart contract platform.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's talk. We talked a little bit about the new consensus mechanism you have, PDBFT. Let's talk about Panda. You mentioned that and supernodes.
Yeah, great. Panda is very interesting. In fact, Panda means PCHAIN dynamic supernode. We choose some of the to come out the Panda. So Panda is very interesting because it's dynamic, because it's supernode. For supernode, everybody know that it's stake, right? It's stake. But if in EOS, you need to be very rich. You need to hold a lot of EOS to become a supernode, and the number of nodes is quite limited. So it's always the wealth game. So our slogan is no longer the wealth game. Everybody need to have the chance, right? So we have a much more number of supernodes and make it dynamic to avoid the mathematic effects, right? Because it will be, if the rich get rich, then it definitely is some problem. So we want this kind of dynamic mechanism to make more normal people get a chance to become a supernode. So people will appreciate that and also make the whole system and the whole world more equal to everybody. So, and also, but definitely, if you want to become this plan, definitely you need to hold some PCHAIN token, and also you need to show your loyalty to this program. So you need to log in our website and log in your email, log in your PCHAIN token address to lock your Pi to lock be there and computation to become executive supernode, because besides the dynamic supernode, we also have an executive supernode plan to provide a stable part. Because if the whole system is just dynamic, then will be some problems. So beside the dynamic part, we also have an executive part. So that's why we now expand the EVE program to allow everybody to compete, even though you will not become an executive supernode, but still you got a chance to become a supernode if you join this program.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some of the reviews of PCHAIN from like back, I guess that would be back like April, May. And so there were concerns back then that there was no white paper, no prototype, and no advisor. And I've realized you guys have taken care of all those things. You have a video on your website of the prototype. You have a white paper now. You have advisors like Daniel Wang from Loopring.
Yes. We have whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, we do that step by step, and in fact, also nowadays we will make it open source gradually, because after we have too much innovation, original innovation, and we also apply the pattern for them. Why we apply the pattern, I also want to talk about that. It's not just it's just like a protection of our ecosystem. If you want to be part of the ecosystem of PCHAIN, definitely you can use that pattern free. We don't charge you anything, just to protect, to show you we have we have the innovation. We are not just some duplication idea. We have our original innovation inside of it. So that's the power of pattern. And also we will make our code open source. In fact, we do a lot of coding, change a lot of things. You can imagine that we just the multi-chain level structure reconstruction is a big huge project to do that. Make it the architecture level changement, and let along the PDVFT algorithm. It's not just the programming. You need to have the theoretically proof. You need to have the design. You need to have a lot of brainstorming with our PhD. We have a 6 or 7 PhD in our team. So we need to have a lot of discussion and brainstorming, and the algorithm changed many times internally to prove everything, to make it more stable, to consider different extremal cases. So it's not easy work. So that's why we don't want to open source, because if we open source, then definitely we will be interfered by a lot of challenging, a lot of attention. Attention, I think, is good, but we don't want to be challenged too much, because it's not finalized. Why we just show you a result in the medium status. So that's the idea.
Okay. So what excites you the most about PCHAIN?
What
excites you the most about PCHAIN?
Yeah, I think, in fact, I'm a scientist. Yeah, I'm scientist. Definitely, innovation make me more exciting, and also this kind of research, this kind of innovation have the potential to make blockchain to be adopted in different industries, to make the largest scale blockchain application happens. We hope Ethereum can do that, but currently we didn't find that, especially after they postponed their Casper yesterday. So I think at the relative near future, we didn't see they can improve their TPS. They cannot make it more scalable. So that's why we want to have a PCHAIN. But definitely, we believe we also belongs to the ecosystem of Ethereum. We don't want to compete with them, but definitely we try to contribute to the whole system, to the whole blockchain industry, to make it adapt to be adopted in different industries. Because the motivation of PCHAIN is quite easy, because I have done a lot of blockchain application in last 3 years. So I know the pinpoint of these applications, the scalability, the open loop, the smart data, the cross chain, all this kind of just a pain point of EC. existing industry. So PCHAIN want to resolve that, to push the everything move forward, to make the accelerate process. Because we believe the silicon, the Earth will become a village, right? That trend is obviously. Blockchain will accelerate that process, and the PCHAIN want to be part of it too.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so just curious, what have you got? All right, so what have you got coming up? What's next for PCHAIN? What are you guys working on?
Yeah, in fact, I think that's in the next week will be a huge day for PCHAIN. That we will launch our testnet officially. And another important message is ahead of our original plan in white paper. Originally, it will be launched in October, but we make it in advance 1 month. In fact, it's maybe 2 months, because we are ready in August. And we continuously announce the new TPS result of PCHAIN. At the very beginning, it's just 25,000 TPS. And in the last week, we announced around 60,000 TPS. So it's already doubled. So we also launch another event that is, everybody can guess what's the final, the peak TPS of PCHAIN in our testnet launching event. Because definitely we can let you know that definitely it will be much larger than 60,000.
Very cool. Very cool. That'll be a fun game for everybody.
Yeah. Yes, and also you can get a reward if you the closest answer to that peak number.
Awesome. All right, so I think we covered a lot in terms of PCHAIN, what's going on. Anything else that you think we should talk about in this interview? Anything else we didn't cover?
Yeah, I think we already cover a lot of innovation, and yes, maybe people will interested in what's the application of PCHAIN, right? Yes, so maybe I think definitely financial is the first application of PCHAIN, and also supply chain, and also online game, and even education. So blockchain PCHAIN is a fundamental platform. So any app of it, we believe is natural. So we also encourage more and more the app over PCHAIN, and this trend become more and more obvious because we already have a strategic partner, or have a 20 strategic partner. So we already have the initial ecosystem of PCHAIN, but in the next, because the technology we believe is really relatively come to some stage. So in the next, we will focus more on the real applications to have a more partner to make the real, as well our slogan, make the large scale blockchain.
Awesome. Well, sounds good. Jeff?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds awesome. Sounds like some great use cases that you've got for PCHAIN. And I'd really like to thank you very much for joining me for this interview. For anyone who's interested, how can they find out more information about PCHAIN?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for this great question. In fact, you can find more information of our website at pchain.org. And also you can find our Twitter, our Telegram, that is PCHAIN underline and org. And yeah, I think maybe you can add some text of the video to people to better get this kind of information.
All right.
I will yes.
Yeah, and all of those things are also available on your website.
Yes, we have a website, we have a Twitter, we have a Reddit, we have a Telegram, and also we have a Medium. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.